Sitting in a dress with my hair tied back, full makeup on, I trembled as my fate was decided by my parents and the shop owner. I had broken into the dress shop, not for money, but for clothes that fit me, women's clothing. The silent alarm sounded, and the police caught me just as I finished dressing. Thankfully, the older officer, a training sergeant for a young female officer, treated me respectfully. He made no jests, but the female officer giggled until silenced by his stern glance, offering me a glimmer of hope. Not handcuffed, I faced the female officer as the sergeant took my details without asking why I broke in. He made calls, including one to the shop owner and my parents. After a brief discussion, I was permitted to stay, reassured by the sergeant before he left. My parents arrived after a tense wait. The shop owner and I sat in silence until they arrived. Dad's reaction was visible, and Mom remained silent and stern as Dad and the shop owner conversed, punctuated by laughter, leaving me anxious about my future. An hour later, still in the same clothes, I was taken home and instructed to remain in the family room. Dad informed me of my punishment. I would wear the stolen clothes to school the next day and then report to the shop to work off my debt. Dad's tone brooked no argument. His initial anger simmered, replaced by a calm resolve. He emphasized that my actions had consequences and that I would continue dressing as a girl until my debts were repaid. With a nod, I acknowledged the clarity of his message as they left me to change and retire for the night. I'm 18, currently a junior in high school. My name's Andy, standing at around 5 feet 7 inches and weighing approximately 135 pounds. Academically, I rank in the top 5%, serving as president of the debate team and a member of the orators. Crossword puzzles posed little challenge to me. I had built quite a reputation, one that was about to be shattered. Lying in bed, attempting to sleep, it hit me all at once. I knew they were going to dress me as a girl and send me to school. Sitting up, I contemplated fleeing, but the realization of my circumstances held me back. If I had any money, I would have bought the clothes instead of resorting to theft. For years, I fantasized about dressing as a girl, longing for the sensation of silk and satin, the embrace of nylon stockings, the allure of high heels, makeup, and sweet fragrances. I had delved into internet stories, believing I understood the process, but all I had was a longing. And so, lacking funds, I resorted to breaking into that shop. It was a foolish act, and now I was facing the consequences of my own recklessness. In the morning, my mom entered my room, equipped for the task at hand. Tears welled up as she laid out her supplies, the weight of impending shame settling upon me. She embraced me, expressing uncertainty about our actions but acknowledging my father's perspective. With meticulous care, she transformed me over the course of nearly 2 hours, from hair removal to makeup and nails. I was given panties, a bra padded with socks, pantyhose, the previous night's attire, and accessorized with earrings, a necklace, and a spritz of perfume. Handing me bright red lipstick and a purse, she instructed me to use the name Emma. Guided outside, I hesitated on the porch, unable to linger yet paralyzed by apprehension. Glancing back, I saw my mother at the window, her wave lacking its usual warmth. With each step forward, I felt the weight of expectation pressing down upon me, my resolve tested with every stride. I strolled to the corner, turning right, then on to the next corner. With each step, the sway of my skirt, the gentle friction of my nylon-clad legs, and the lingering taste of makeup filled me with euphoria. It was the realization of my dream, yet as the school drew nearer, my fears intensified. The lump in my throat grew, and anxiety gripped me, especially as I stood amidst the crowd of kids at the street corner, all converging on the school. Desperation crept in as I sought an escape, nearly turning back before being swept into the building by the throng of students. Amidst the bustling halls, I had no choice but to press forward. Each step felt magnified, the click of my heels on the hard floors echoing louder with each stride, my skirt seemingly shrinking, exposing me as a fraud. Fear consumed me, knowing I would no longer be admired or respected. The feminine scent of my perfume lingered, my mind consumed by growing apprehension. Pausing briefly at the doorway, I was thrust inside by the eager students behind me. Only one seat remained vacant, mine. As I settled into my usual spot, the room fell silent under the gaze of the teacher, Mrs. Roth. "We have a new student," she remarked, breaking the silence. "What is your name, dear?" My name was Andy, but uttering it seemed unthinkable. Struggling to recall the name my mother had instructed, I faltered. Thankfully, Mrs. Roth intervened, sparing me the embarrassment. "Your mother contacted me last night," she explained to the class. "This is Emma Grant." Shame washed over me as giggles erupted from some students, while others, mostly boys, remained silent. Enduring the stares and whispered remarks, I awaited the release for our next class. On the way, my best friend John confronted me, demanding an explanation. "I broke into a shop last night," I confessed. "This is my punishment, and I have no idea how long it will last." By lunchtime, rumors of my transformation spread throughout the school. Branded a thief-turned-crossdresser, I found myself shunned, losing what little friendship I had. It felt as though I wore a scarlet letter, alienated from those around me. Throughout the day, I teetered on the brink of terror, yet gradually, the sensations of the skirt grazing my thighs, the snugness of the bra encircling my chest, and the flutter of my hair against my ears faded from my consciousness. Was I tense? Absolutely. Afraid? Undoubtedly. Embarrassed? Without a doubt. Seeking solace during lunch, I retreated to the back of the room, hoping for a moment of respite. Only 2 students addressed me, both girls. Kelly, a plump, short-haired brunette, and Heather, one of the school's most attractive girls. "Stay strong, Andy. Things will improve," Kelly offered, her words accompanied by a reassuring touch. Heather, extending similar encouragement, complimented, "You look lovely, Emma. We all make mistakes and face consequences. This is just a different kind of punishment. If you ever need to talk, come find me or Kelly." "Thank you," I managed, watching as they rejoined their peers, a solitary tear escaping down my cheek. It was a rare moment of human connection. After school, I made my way to the dress shop, uncertain of what awaited me, the jingle of the small bell signaling my entrance. Standing in shame, I awaited the proprietor's gaze, my head bowed. "There you are. And how lovely you look," she exclaimed. Leading me to the back of the shop, she introduced herself as Sophia Wilson. "Your parents and I have reached an agreement," she explained. "Instead of facing jail time, you'll work here with me. Every weekday after school until 6, and all day Saturday. The duration is uncertain, but likely through the summer." Surveying me carefully, she handed me a bag. "Go back there, put these on, and return to the front of the shop." With her words echoing in my mind, I retreated to privacy, discovering a padded panty brief and a pair of breast forms inside the bag. After donning the panty brief, I inserted the breast forms into the bra and made my way to the front of the store. The weight of the forms tugged at the bra straps, heightening my awareness of their presence as they bounced and settled against my chest. Their color closely matched my skin tone, accentuating my now broader hips, amplifying the sway of the skirt, and reinforcing my desire to embrace femininity. "You look much improved now," the shop owner remarked, studying me as I stood with bowed head, consumed by shame. "You find this treatment cruel, don't you?" Her gentle prod prompted me to lift my gaze, meeting hers reluctantly. "Yes, ma'am. Hardly anyone will speak to me at school now," I confessed, tears welling in my eyes. Unwavering, her tone remained steady as she addressed me. "You're the one who trespassed, Emma. Had you stolen money, you'd be facing jail time. Instead, you took clothes to indulge in dressing as a girl." Softening slightly at the sight of my tears, she offered reassurance. "If you comply with my instructions, you may find a change in your school's attitude towards you." Eagerly awaiting her clarification, I wiped away a tear as she continued. "By the end of the week, with your mother and my guidance, you may find yourself so well presented that the ridicule will cease, and your friends may welcome you back." Then she outlined the details of my punishment, which my father had omitted. "Your parents and I have reached an agreement," she began. "Until your debt to me is repaid, you'll be required to dress and behave as a girl. Since you're an only child and unable to borrow from a sister, and your mother's size doesn't suit you, you'll need a new wardrobe of your own. We've agreed to provide outer clothing at cost, and you'll work here to offset the expenses. Your mother will handle undergarments. Given our clientele, who demand the finest, I expect you to maintain a feminine appearance at all times. This entails daily hairstyling, neat nails, with subtle polish, makeup, and modest attire. You'll receive a fair wage, but half will be deducted for damages and clothing expenses. Any queries? My parents consented to this? I queried incredulously. Indeed. Your father insisted you learn from this experience. Since you were already dressed when apprehended, we deemed it a fitting punishment. She guided me through the store, and right at 6, my mom arrived. Sophia handed her a sizable bag, and we headed home. Seated across from my dad at the table, I mustered the courage to question his decision to dress me in skirts rather than opting for an alternative. "Had a good day, Emma?" he inquired. "It was awful. No one talks to me, and everyone either stares or laughs. I hate it." His response was firm, carrying the weight of authority. "Better get used to it. Until your debt is settled, you'll be dressing as a girl. And if you continue to protest, I'm sure your mother and I can find ways to make it even less enjoyable. You'll follow instructions until your debt is cleared. Understood?" His tone left no room for debate, and I replied accordingly. Understood. After dinner, Mom and I arranged the clothes Sophia had provided, integrating them into my wardrobe. Based on simple math, you'll be dressing this way until late summer. So, this Sunday, we'll rearrange your room to accommodate your new circumstances and status, Mom informed me. Realizing there was no escape, I resolved to surpass their expectations or demands. My own desires had led me to break into that store, and now, I understood that compliance was my only option. I would embrace my femininity unabashedly, accepting it as an acknowledgement of my innermost desires. If I had to wear the clothes, I would do so with dignity, refusing to succumb to foolishness. I had to give it my all, there was no alternative. Surveying the contents of my closet and dresser, I selected a short knit dress and laid out various undergarments with meticulous care, striving to enhance my feminine appearance. On the bathroom vanity lay a complete makeup kit, rollers, a curling iron, and a blow dryer, evidence of Mom's efforts. Undressing, I inspected the breast forms, their warmth a reminder of their proximity to my skin. Retrieving the adhesive from its packaging, I followed the instructions with a newfound sense of resolve, a smile gracing my lips. After 20 minutes of careful application, I affixed the breast forms to my chest, smoothing out any visible seams before changing into a nightgown. Draping a sheer robe around myself, I inspected my reflection in the mirror. Gathering the loose fabric, I made my way to the family room. Dad's reaction was subdued, he choked a bit, but said nothing as I took my seat. Mom, her expression somber, instructed me to cover up before lapsing into silence. Both wore grim expressions, leaving me apprehensive about any missteps. With nothing more said, I retired to bed. In the morning, I informed Mom that I would manage on my own. After donning clean panties, the padded panty brief, a waist nipper, pantyhose, and a clean bra, I applied my own makeup, just foundation and eyeliner. Wrestling with the zipper at the back of the dress, I eventually managed to slip it over my head. I opted for the same short black heels, my only footwear option. Though Mom offered assistance, I declined, finishing off with earrings, a spritz of perfume, and pink lipstick before joining her at the breakfast table. While my appearance may have appeared improved, it was more a reflection of my inner resolution. I felt better, not necessarily looked better. "You look lovely this morning," Mom remarked cheerfully. "Thank you, Mom," I responded with a smile, finishing breakfast before heading to school. Walking the familiar 5 blocks, I stood taller, still afraid but considerably more self-assured. Once again, all eyes were on me, but the attention soon waned. Some perceptive girls even speculated about implants, prompting a playful response from me. When Ethan approached me in the hallway, his inquiry was more direct. "Do you enjoy dressing like a girl?" he queried. Though numerous responses raced through my mind, my training as an orator taught me the power of the pause. I utilized it to offer a light-hearted response while subtly acknowledging a truth. "Why do you ask, Ethan? Considering joining me?" His departure left me pondering his cryptic comment about making some guys nervous, uncertain of its implications. That afternoon, when I had the chance, I told Sophia what Ethan had said, and she laughed at me. "You silly girl. Some of the boys are nervous because they are attracted to you. They know you're a boy, just like them, yet they are attracted to you. They look at you and just cannot understand how one of them, a boy, can look so darned good. You're very pretty, Emma. You just don't realize it yet, and they do." Shocked at what she had told me, I went back to work. I vacuumed the carpets and helped unpack some new arrivals. Then just before I left for home, Sophia told me that the shop would be closed for the next 2 days, but to be there early on Saturday. I nodded my head yes, and left for home. Dad asked me how my day went, and when I told him that Ethan and a few others thought I was attractive, Mom interrupted before he could say anything. I helped do the dishes and went to my room to do my homework. A few minutes later, Mom came in and shut the door. "I know, and you know, that you have accepted dressing as a girl, not for the punishment, but because you have, inside where it counts the most, always known that it was right for you." Mom was smarter than I thought. If boys think you're attractive, eventually one of them will get up the nerve and ask you out, and then what? I didn't know what I would do, so I shrugged my shoulders. "You'll go out with him, Emma, because it would confirm your femininity." Mom sat beside me on the bed, grasping my hand tenderly. "Breaking into that shop was foolish. Your father believes that making you dress as a girl will deter you from burglary or cross-dressing in the future. But he doesn't realize that Andy will no longer exist. I do." In an instant, tears streamed down my face as Mom enveloped me in her embrace, just like she did when I was a child. Deep down, I knew she was right. Silence lingered between us for some time, neither of us uttering a word. For a boy to break into a shop just to dress as a girl is remarkable, Mom finally spoke, her tone soft but resolute. "To me, it signifies a deep desire to embrace femininity, to become the woman you long to be. If you allow me, I'll guide you on this journey. I'll ensure that the girl you are now evolves into the woman you aspire to be. Intelligent yet alluring. Subtle yet confident. Compassionate yet assertive. Like you, Mom?" I inquired. "Thank you, Emma. But you'll surpass me. Unlike me, you have the gift of choice. I was born female by chance and never experienced life as a man. But you, Emma, you possess both male and female aspects within you. You can mold them as you wish. Just listen to your heart." "Thank you, Mom," I whispered gratefully. I completed my homework, slipped into a nightgown, and settled into bed. Every word Mom had spoken rang true. Deep down, I realized I wanted to emulate her rather than Dad. Acknowledging to her, and more importantly to myself, that embracing femininity held significant meaning for me lifted a tremendous burden from my shoulders. Suddenly, the darkness of fear dissipated, replaced by a spectrum of possibilities. Believing in my identity as a girl and striving to embody it to the best of my ability seemed to pave the way for everything else to fall into place. Though I had encountered bigotry from only one person thus far, I knew his words echoed sentiments lurking beneath the surface in many others, ready to shatter my dreams if I faltered. Drifting into sleep, the words "they are attracted to you" reverberated in my mind, colliding with my apprehensions head-on. As the week drew to a close and Saturday approached, my confidence surged as my appearance became a familiar sight, and my classmates gradually resumed speaking to me. Each day, I took care in dressing, insisting on mastering my own makeup and hair. After all, I reasoned, I needed to learn eventually, so why not now amidst the upheaval? On Friday, I took a bold step, opting for a dress with a slightly lower neckline. Though it revealed a hint of my breasts, it felt empowering. The short skirt, in shades of green, navy, and white, hugged my figure, secured with a large pin. My white blouse boasted puffy sleeves that reached midway down my upper arms. I styled my hair so it cascaded straight to my shoulders, adorned with barrettes, and applied a soft red lipstick. In that moment, I looked like any other teenage girl, normal, confident. Just before school ended, Olivia approached me, extending an invitation to a small party at her house on Sunday. "I won't let anyone bother you, Emma. Please come," she urged. "I'll call you and confirm, all right?" I replied. "Of course, but it's casual if you decide to come," she assured before walking away, leaving me pondering. Was she orchestrating potential mistreatment, despite her assurances? Or perhaps she intended to introduce me to one of my male classmates? Alternatively, could it simply be a gathering of friends where my attire mattered little to them? Upon arriving home, Mom immediately declared that I needed a few more items and whisked us off to the mall. Shoes were at the top of my list, and I ended up with 4 additional pairs: white heels, taupe, black, and white flats. "I have a surprise for you, Emma," Mom announced, linking her arm with mine and guiding me into a jewelry store. "The name is Grant. I left some items here 2 days ago." The clerk retrieved her receipt and disappeared into the back, returning shortly with 2 small boxes. Placing them on the counter, my heart raced with anticipation. The boxes were opened, revealing a ring in one and a cameo in the other. Mom handed me the ring. "This belonged to your grandmother. It's been passed down to the eldest girl in the family for generations. I had it resized for you. Put it on." Slipping the ring onto my left index finger, the small diamond caught the light, the surrounding red stones gleaming. "I had your initials engraved on the back, right under mine," Mom explained as she handed me the other item. Holding the cameo in my hand, I felt its smooth surface, worn from generations of women in the family wearing it. I had often seen my mother wear it. "Let me help you, Emma." Mom fastened the ancient cameo around my neck, settling it between my breasts. "Mom, She settled the bill with a smile, taking my hand in hers. Traditionally, these items go to the eldest girl in the family, usually on her debut in the summer of her 18th year. But I think you need them now. Her grip tightened on my hand as she entrusted me with the heirlooms. Unable to fully grasp the significance of her gesture, all I could manage was a grateful smile and a heartfelt thank you. "You should have a jewelry box of your own now. Why don't we find one you like?" By the time we departed from the mall, I was laden with packages. During our journey home, Mom proposed the idea of getting my hair cut and styled, perhaps a manicure. My eyes widened with surprise, but Mom interpreted it as agreement. "I'll take that as a yes," she chuckled, pulling into the salon she frequented. Together, we entered, our names called out by the receptionist, and we were each directed to a stylist. Mom had arranged it all beforehand, leaving me clueless about hairstyles. Still navigating the journey of defining my own look each day as I styled my own hair, I couldn't offer much guidance to the stylist. Yet, she seemed to understand me perfectly from the moment she laid eyes on me. My hair, a shade of mouse brown, is thick and slightly wavy, falling to shoulder length. "Your hair is lovely, Emma, but we'll need to trim quite a bit to give it shape. I also suggest adding highlights and some curls to enhance its natural wave." How does that sound? What did I know about hairstyling? Sounds good. Mom sat across the room with her regular stylist, offering no interference as I worked with mine. While waiting for the tint to set, I had my nails done. Acrylic extensions were applied to strengthen and lengthen my normally thin nails. I watched as they were filed into a rounded shape and painted a soft red. Suddenly, my fingers appeared longer and more slender. After 2 hours, my transformation was complete. My once long hair had been expertly cut, now falling in waves around my face and cascading into curls down my back. The reddish highlights added a newfound radiance to my locks. Looking at myself in the mirror, I realized why I was here. Without imposing any pressure or direction, Mom had allowed me to discover on my own that I could indeed embody the girl I had always imagined. She had guided me to the threshold of possibilities and let me see it for myself. Then, she quietly reminded me that beyond that threshold lay a realm of endless possibilities, and it was up to me to step through, not with a push, but with determination. The future was wide open, waiting for me to seize it. That's what I realized. As we left the salon, I planted a kiss on her cheek, expressing a simple "Thank you, Mom." Her enigmatic smile graced her face as we headed home, a mother and now, a daughter. Olivia invited me to a party on Sunday. Well, then, it's fortunate you had your hair done, isn't it? I might not attend, she replied. Silence lingered until we pulled into our driveway, then she said, I want you to go to the party, Emma. If she invited you, there's a reason, and most likely, it's not to ridicule you. I'll consider it, and thanks for today. In my room, I stowed away my new shoes, the pink suit, and the 2 dresses, placing my jewelry box on the dresser and organizing my modest collection of earrings inside it. At dinner, as I entered the room, Dad stuttered slightly upon seeing me. His gaze traveled from my sneakers, up to my white shorts, clearly defining a feminine silhouette, across the snug shell top to my breasts, then to my face and finally to my hair. He noticed my well-manicured nails, the smile on my face, and his resolve to impose this dressing as a punishment faded. It was evident on his face, just as Mom had observed, but it was she who spoke up. Emma has now become our daughter. In our attempt to discipline her, we inadvertently allowed her to embrace the identity she has always had, she stated. He noticed the small cameo and the special ring, understanding that my mother had aided me in making that decision. I sat there, waiting as he grappled with the realization that his son, me, had relinquished his masculinity to embrace womanhood. In his mind, women were subservient to men. In my mind, I saw myself as equal, perhaps even superior to the average male. As Mom had explained, I now had the advantage of embodying both male and female characteristics, and the clothes I wore did nothing to diminish either my capabilities or my intelligence. I had everything now, and I wasn't going to surrender it to my father's lifelong prejudices. Does this mean you'll be dressing this way permanently? He inquired. I nodded, and his eyes narrowed. You're not a girl, you're a boy. No, I replied firmly. He glanced at Mom. We might as well address this openly once and for all. Emma is here to stay. She is our daughter, still our child. I've spoken with her, and I believe this is the right path for her, and for us. Dad said no more, but his face betrayed his frustration and his own fears. On Saturday morning, I arrived at the shop bright and early. Sophia complimented my hair and then informed me that we were expanding our inventory to include bridal and prom dresses. It's a lucrative market, especially with 6 high schools in the vicinity. We should see a significant increase in business, she explained. While I listened, I kept one eye on a customer browsing the racks. I'd like you to model some of the dresses for me so we can take pictures to display in the store. Me? I exclaimed. You are a size 10, which is the average size of the dresses we sell. Plus, I can't wait to see you in some of those bridal gowns, she added with a grin. Still astonished by her request, I continued with my tasks without further comment. During a brief lull, I mentioned that I had been invited to a party the following day, describing it as casual. I have the perfect dress for you, Emma, Sophia declared enthusiastically. She promptly retrieved what she referred to as the perfect LBD, little black dress, and urged me to try it on. I slipped into the back to try it on. The dress, a chemise with a square-cut neckline and 2 delicate shoulder straps, fit me like a glove, its hem resting at mid-thigh. I noticed Sophia watching me with a smile before she returned to the front of the store. Satisfied with how it looked, I carefully placed the dress back in the bag next to my purse, already decided on wearing it. In the morning, I enlisted Mom's help once again with the hair removal cream. After washing it off, I indulged in a bubble bath, perfumed of course, allowing the oil in the water to nourish my skin. Upon drying off and examining myself in the mirror, I realized that from my waist up, I looked convincingly like a girl. However, my hips still appeared slender, and an undeniable reminder of my true gender lurked beneath. Recalling a story where the protagonist concealed her masculinity using tape, I wrapped a robe around myself and went in search of suitable supplies. Finding a roll of flesh-colored wrapping and medical tape, I returned to my bedroom and embarked on the task. It took me an hour, but I succeeded. By pushing my testicles back into my body and securing them with the wrapping from my waist through my groin and up the back, I managed to achieve a smooth, feminine appearance in front. I chose my best bra, a demi-cup style with lace trim and a front hook, and sat at my modest homemade vanity. Applying foundation followed by powder, I carefully brushed away any excess. Using soft green eyeshadow with hints of gray and plum, I applied black eyeliner both above and below each eye, followed by black mascara and peach blusher. Slipping into the dress and zipping it up, I stepped into my black heels, adorned myself with gold earrings and the cameo necklace, and stepped back to assess. Sexy, I thought, before applying red lipstick and perfume. Grabbing my black purse and ensuring my hair was in place, I sought out Mom. She paused for a moment before speaking. "Going hunting?" she teased. "No, Mom, just a party," I reassured her. "Can I borrow the car?" With her keys in hand, I headed out. Arriving at Olivia's house, I parked outside and approached the door, a mix of hope and fear swirling within me. As Olivia greeted me, she squealed with delight and embraced me. "You look fantastic," she exclaimed, leading me inside to meet her family, introducing me as Emma, of course. We then ventured out onto the patio, where 7 other teenagers were gathered, including 4 boys and now, with my presents, 4 girls. Olivia handed me a soda, and I found a seat at one of the tables, feeling somewhat alone. Moments later, Olivia returned with a boy named Daniel. "Emma, meet Daniel. He's from St. Mike's," she introduced. "I've known him forever, so I'm pretty sure he's harmless, but keep an eye on him," she joked before leaving us alone. Putting on my best smile, I engaged in conversation with Daniel. "Olivia mentioned you're quite a special girl." "What makes you so special?" he inquired. "I have a lot of friends," I replied casually. "I'll bet you do." "Most of the guys at your school, I presume," he teased back. "Not really, Daniel. I'm just different," I admitted. Daniel, tall with dark curly hair and piercing black eyes, seemed genuinely interested in me. Despite my desire to be fully female, I felt compelled to reveal my true identity to him. "I'm special because I'm not a real girl." "Maybe someday, but not yet," I confessed, bracing myself for his response. Instead of recoiling, Daniel reassured me. "You're still very pretty, Emma. Olivia's been trying to set me up for ages, and I'm glad it's with you," he admitted. Surprised, I couldn't help but ask why Olivia was always trying to play matchmaker for him. "She doesn't like my choice of careers. I have always wanted to be a missionary." "What's wrong with that?" "It's good work." "I know that, but as soon as I mention it, all of those other girls drift away. All of my family are policemen, and they, and Olivia, think that is almost the same thing and want me to be a cop." My mind instantly flew back to the sergeant that was so kind to me. They might be right, Daniel. I had a chance to meet a police sergeant not too long ago, and he saved my life, literally. "You?" "What?" "You're the one my dad was talking about." It was all I could do to keep my head up. "Dad said that you would be beautiful given time, and he was right." He reached out and touched my hand, and a shiver went up my back as something like an electric shock went through me. "Want to dance?" "Daniel, I never." He pulled me to my feet and into his arms. My chest was pushing against him as we moved around the patio to the gentle, slow music. Food was served, and as we ate, Daniel sat next to me, Olivia and Ethan across from us. "You two looked very cozy while you were dancing." Olivia was smiling at me when I felt his hand on my leg, a gentle squeeze on my thigh. "Emma is pretty, and a good dancer." Why shouldn't we be good together? Ethan sat back, his arm touching Olivia's shoulder. Why don't you take her to the prom? It's 3 weeks away, and I know you don't have a date yet. I agree. You two belong together. Daniel looked at me with a question on his face. I nodded my head yes, watching him smile as I did. This is great. Can you get a dress by then? Olivia, I work in a dress shop. Of course I can get a dress. Daniel and I exchanged numbers, danced several more times, and at around 7 I went home. As soon as I stepped into the house, Dad gestured for me to sit across from him. Is it true? Even after you've settled your debt, you plan to continue dressing as a girl? He asked. Yes, Dad. Thanks to you, I've come to realize what I've always known. I met someone today, and he's taking me to the prom. My friends have accepted me for who I am, and I've never been happier. I just can't go back to pretending to be someone I'm not, I explained. I had hoped to avoid mentioning the prom, but he caught on quickly. You have a prom date. What have you done? You're not a girl, he exclaimed. He knew that before he asked me, Dad, and I've made up my mind, I'm going. The conversation was escalating, and I rose to my feet. Sit down, he commanded. Dad, please listen to me. I am who I am. I'm not going to deny it anymore. You didn't make me this way, I've always felt this way. I've known for years that I wanted to be a girl, and now I am. You can't change that. You can make me wear male clothes, but I promise you, the moment I turn 19, I'll be back in a dress, I asserted, spinning on my heels and heading to my room, uncertain of what his reaction would be. Mom entered my room just 2 minutes later. Your father doesn't understand, Emma. No matter how he tries, it's just not sinking in for him. He's completely clueless, she said. He despises me, Mom. I lamented. No, he's frightened for you, and he's bewildered. Give him some time, she reassured me. Whenever he looks at me, I feel like he's stripping me bare, Mom. I confessed. He might be. He's trying to comprehend how you can be so beautiful. Your father isn't unintelligent, Emma, but he comes from a world where things are black and white, boys are boys, and girls are girls. Now, you've raised his confusion level too high. He wants me to revert, but I won't. Not now, not after I've finally come to terms with myself. I understand, dear, Mom said empathetically. She assisted me in undressing, and as I slipped into my nightgown, she inquired about Daniel. I recounted how Olivia had arranged the meeting and how Daniel's father was the police sergeant who apprehended me. Small world, isn't it? Mom remarked. As I slid into my slippers, she suggested that I talk to Dad. He loves you, and you know it. Wearing dresses and dating are 2 different matters. You wounded him deeply with that comment, intentionally, I believe, and that was unfair. I stood there, contemplating, as Mom grasped my hand and urged me to return and speak with him. It will benefit both of you, Emma, she encouraged, though I knew facing Dad again so soon would be immensely challenging. Clad in a floor-length flannel nightgown, one of the least alluring items in my wardrobe, I approached Dad's room. He scrutinized me as I stood before him until I moved closer and settled onto his lap. His arms enveloped me, and I leaned my head against his chest. I've been married for 22 years, and I still haven't got a clue about women. And now, all of a sudden, you expect me to grasp everything about you instantly. I tried to reassure him, it's not that complicated, Dad. I'm still the same person. I enjoy the same things, like hockey and tennis. All I ask is for you to treat me the same. My change in attire doesn't alter anything, does it? His expression remained stoic, but his embrace tightened slightly. There will be new rules, and you'll abide by them. No dates unless I've met the young man. No overly revealing dresses, and you'll start helping your mother with household chores. He had relented to the inevitable, not entirely, but sufficiently for me. I planted a kiss on his cheek and rose to my feet. I'd like to meet this Daniel before the prom, Emma. Returning to my room, I felt a mix of elation and trepidation. I had committed to a path that I now had to traverse. Would I find the fortitude to do so? From that juncture, I embraced my identity as Emma, albeit with a biological anomaly. I selected my prom dress, which Sophia tailored to perfection. Daniel and Dad immediately hit it off, and my friends gradually reconnected with me. On the Friday preceding the prom, I had to deliver a speech in oratory. For my topic, I chose myself. Wouldn't you? As my classmates listened, I recounted my fears and struggles, narrating the emotional roller coaster I had endured in vivid detail, my father's denial of my truth, followed by eventual acceptance. A hush fell over the room as I shared my entire journey, including the prejudice and discrimination I encountered at school. I explained how I came to realize that I truly was a girl, albeit with a difference. My anomaly didn't render me unintelligent, frivolous, or inferior. It simply existed. As I concluded and resumed my seat, the room was enveloped in a profound silence akin to a tomb. I wondered if I had crossed a line. Ethan, the same guy who confronted me that initial day, asserting that I was starting to swish, rose from his seat, walked over to me, and clasped my hand, urging me to stand. Everyone, meet my friend Emma, he announced. The entire room exploded into applause and cheers, rendering me speechless. As I stood there, students approached me, offering hugs or shaking my hand. Meanwhile, the teacher was busy on the phone as I exited the room, oblivious to the impact I had made with so few words. The following morning, Mom and I visited the salon to have our hair styled, my nails received a touch-up, and we swung by the shop for me to try on and collect my dress. With the shoes and jewelry awaiting me at home, I dedicated myself to the task of beautifying. Most men aren't aware that women plan for a date as meticulously as they would for D-Day, and I was no exception. Ensuring I had everything I needed, I luxuriated in a bubble bath. I had purchased white satin panties and a corset, which I donned. As I cinched the laces snugly and felt my waist constrict, a smile played on my lips. This single garment epitomized femininity. Men enjoyed seeing us wear them, but they had no practical purpose aside from fulfilling their fantasies. The white satin and pink lace corset held me firmly, accentuating my own breasts, lifting and enhancing them. By adding small foam pads, I achieved a fuller look, resulting in my own breasts, albeit modest in size. My stockings were skin color, fastened to the garter tabs, with the excess slack pulled taut. I summoned Mom, who assisted me in slipping into the dress, smoothing out any wrinkles and zipping it up. It was a sheath gown, entirely white, with subtle sequins adorning it. With a plunging neckline and a back barely above my corset, a hemline grazing just above my knees, and a shimmer that captivated, I knew I had achieved the epitome of femininity. Daniel looked striking in his tuxedo, and Dad snapped a few photos of us before we departed. As we entered the venue, all eyes turned to us, and the lights dimmed. Suddenly, a small spotlight illuminated us, drawing everyone's attention. From the darkness emerged a familiar voice. "Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome my friend Emma Michael Grant and her escort, Daniel James Banks," it announced. Applause erupted as the lights returned. Surveying the room, we realized that everyone was standing. Olivia approached us alongside Ethan. "Please come with us," she said. We followed them to the front of the room and were seated at the head table. Ethan and Olivia ascended the stairs to the microphone, and as the crowd hushed, he began to address them. "My friends, tonight we have had the honor of witnessing a rebirth, not of a child, but of a woman. Our friend and classmate bravely endured ridicule, loneliness, and despair that few of us can comprehend. Even I was initially bewildered. I'm about to play a recording that I urge all of you to listen to attentively. Listen, and take pride." He pressed a button, and my voice filled the hall, clear and resounding. It was the recording of my oratory class speech. Once again, I was forced to revisit the anguish of those days as I navigated through uncertainty. Not a sound was heard as my voice, at times impassioned, at times pleading, at times emotional, recounted my experiences. The recording lasted for 22 minutes, a duration of composed calm on my part, concealing the nervous tremors beginning to surface within me. As the recording concluded and Ethan returned to the microphone, the room remained silent. "Any questions?" he asked. The once silent room burst into applause, and Daniel clasped my hand in his. He led me to the center of the room, and as the music commenced, he drew me close, enveloping me in his embrace. "That seemed to go well, don't you think?" he remarked, but I was rendered speechless. "They understand you better now. Just relax and enjoy the evening," he reassured me, his warm breath brushing against my neck, his hand steady on my back. In that moment, I knew he was right. That night marked the first time I kissed another male, and it felt utterly right. With that kiss, Daniel helped me conclude my journey. It's a moment I'll remember forever. While being accepted by my friends was remarkable, it was that gentle press of his lips against mine that truly signaled my arrival as the woman I aspired to be. As for what lies ahead, I'm uncertain. I still work at the shop, my images adorning the walls as I model wedding dresses. Dad has grown increasingly protective, almost suffocating at times, and Mom undoubtedly relishes having a daughter. My doctor has also been instrumental in my journey, and by the time I graduate, I'll have acquired my own curves. This adventure didn't commence with that break-in, it commenced long ago in my mind, the instant I envisioned myself adorned in feminine attire. All I did was acknowledge it and step through that door into the realm of possibilities.